Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another thrilling episode of Cinematic Spotlight, the show where we dive deep into the latest and greatest in the world of cinema. I'm your host, Alex Parker, and today we're setting sail on an epic adventure with the much anticipated film, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. We'll be reviewing, complimenting, and of course, critiquing this underwater spectacle. To help me with this, we have an amazing panel of experts, film critic extraordinaire, Jane Doe award-winning director, John Smith, and pop culture analyst, Sarah Lee. Welcome, everyone. Let's jump right in. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has been making waves since its release. Jane, what were your first impressions?
Well, Alex, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is a visual feast. The underwater scenes are breathtaking and the CGI is top-notch. However, I felt like the story was swimming against the tide a bit. It didn't quite match the visual splendor.
Interesting. John, what did you think about the direction and the overall execution?
I think James Wan did a fantastic job with the action sequences. They were fast-paced and exhilarating. But I have to say, some of the character arcs felt a bit shallow. I was hoping for more depth and development.
Sarah, you always have your finger on the pulse of pop culture. How is the audience reacting to this film?
It's a mixed bag, Alex. Some fans are over the moon with the film's epic scale and visual effects, while others are nitpicking the storyline and character motivations. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, stunning visuals, but a somewhat predictable plot.
Let's delve into some specific elements. Jane, you mentioned the visuals. Can you elaborate on what stood out to you?
Absolutely. The underwater kingdom of Atlantis is portrayed in a way that's both magical and believable. The use of color and lighting really brings the world to life. However, sometimes it felt like the film was all style and no substance, with the visuals overshadowing the narrative.
John, what about the performances? Any standouts for you?
Jason Momoa shines as Aquaman, bringing his usual charisma and physicality to the role. Amber Heard as Mera also delivers a strong performance. However, some of the supporting cast seemed to be just going through the motions, which was a bit of a letdown.
Sarah, the soundtrack has been getting a lot of buzz. What's your take?
The soundtrack is a hit. It's catchy, it's vibrant, and it really elevates the emotional beats of the film. Rupert Gregson-Williams composed a score that perfectly complements the underwater action and drama. It's the kind of soundtrack that sticks with you long after the credits roll.
Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the critics. Jane, you mentioned some glaring issues. What were the biggest missteps in your opinion?
The plot holes. There were moments that just didn't add up, and it took me out of the experience. Also, some of the dialogue felt a bit cliché, which undermined the otherwise strong narrative.
John, from a director's perspective, what could have been done differently?
I would have liked to see more depth in the character arcs. Giving the audience more backstory and motivation would have made the climax more impactful. And perhaps a tighter script could have ironed out those plot inconsistencies.
Sarah, what are the fans saying about these critiques?
Fans are split. Some agree with the critiques, saying they expected more given the hype. Others are willing to overlook the flaws because they enjoyed the film's entertainment value. It's really a case of beauty being in the eye of the beholder.
All right. It's time for our final thoughts. Jane, what's your overall rating and takeaway for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom?
I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's visually stunning and entertaining, but it falls short in terms of narrative depth.
John?
I'd say it's an 8. Despite its flaws, the direction and lead performance make it worth watching.
And Sarah?
I'm going with a 7.5. It's a crowd pleaser with a killer soundtrack, but it could have been more polished in some areas.
There you have it, folks. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is a visually stunning, entertaining ride with a few bumps along the way. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a casual moviegoer, it's definitely worth a watch. Thank you to our wonderful panel for their insights, and to our viewers, what did you think of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? Share your thoughts with us on social media using Cinematic Spotlight. Until next time, keep watching and keep talking.